Hybrid identity begins by connecting your on-premises Active Directory to Microsoft Entra ID. In this lesson, we'll implement Entra Connect Sync. Choose the right setup path, control what synchronizes, and enable sign-in features such as password hash sync and seamless SSO. So far, we've built the foundation step by step: Active Directory, Entra ID, hybrid architecture, and migration planning. Now we move from design into implementation. We'll take the prepared sandbox and make synchronization real with Entra Connect Sync, then set the stage for comparing cloud sync and troubleshooting common patterns. Entra Connect Sync acts as the translator between your existing Active Directory environment and Microsoft Entra ID. It takes the identities you choose, such as users, groups, contacts, and key attributes, and keeps the matching cloud objects updated. With password hash sync, pass-through authentication, or federation, those same identities can be used for Microsoft 365 and other cloud apps. The key idea is control. ADDS often remains the source for core identity data, while Entra ID extends that identity into modern cloud access. Before you run the installer, treat Readiness as a deployment gate. Start with a supported Windows server joined to the Active Directory domain, ideally dedicated to synchronization. Verify that it can reach Microsoft Entra and Microsoft 365 endpoints over outbound HTTPS. Gather the right credentials: enterprise admin or delegated AD permissions, plus a global administrator or hybrid identity administrator in Entra. Then clean up directory risks. Confirm UPN suffixes match verified domains, check for duplicate users or attributes, and resolve health issues before synchronization begins. Express installation is the fastest path, but it assumes a simple design: one forest, password hash sync, default service accounts, and broad synchronization. That can work for a small, straightforward environment. Custom installation takes longer, but gives you control over forests, sign-in methods, OU filtering, optional features, service accounts, and staging mode. In real migrations, those controls matter. If you need to limit what syncs, support multiple forests, or test safely before cutover, choose Custom. For our lab, Custom is the better learning path. Download the latest Entra Connect Sync installer directly from Microsoft. Then run it with administrative rights on the server chosen for synchronization. The wizard confirms licensing, then asks whether you want express settings or a customized configuration. For this lab, choose Customize so you can work with specific OUs, sign-in options, filtering, and staging mode. Next, connect to the Microsoft Entra tenant, then to the on-premises ADDS forest. Before moving on, confirm the server can reliably reach both sides. Entra Connect Sync uses 3 identities, each with a different trust boundary. The ADDS connector account reads objects from on-premises Active Directory and may need extra rights for password hash sync or write-back. The Entra connector account authenticates the sync engine to the cloud tenant. The AD Sync service account runs the local synchronization service on the server. In production, avoid using broad admin accounts just because they work during setup. Grant only the required permissions, document them, and review them when features change. During setup, Entra Connect Sync becomes the trusted bridge between your tenant and your Active Directory forests. On the tenant side, the account needs enough Entra administrative rights to create and manage the cloud connector. On the forest side, you can use enterprise admin credentials during installation or a delegated connector account prepared in advance. With multiple forests, planning becomes critical. Object uniqueness, identity matching, and attribute precedence determine which source wins. Verified domains and routable UPN suffixes help keep sign-in names clean, predictable, and aligned with Microsoft 365 access. For sign-in, password hash sync is usually the baseline to evaluate first. Entra Connect does not copy the user's actual password. It synchronizes a derived cryptographic hash, which Entra ID uses to authenticate cloud access directly. The major benefit is resilience. If an on-premises authentication server or federation service is unavailable, users can still reach Microsoft 365 and other cloud apps. Compared with pass-through authentication or federation, PHS has lower complexity and less operational overhead. Add seamless SSO when you want domain-joined users to see fewer prompts. Filtering scope is the safety gate for synchronization. Before enabling Entra ID Sync, Decide exactly which objects should be included and which must stay out. O filtering is usually the cleanest approach because it maps to administrative structure. Group filtering works well for pilots, but avoid turning it into a permanent production dependency. For advanced cases, domain or attribute filters can help, but they require careful testing. Tie every filter decision to your migration waves, pilot users, service accounts, disabled accounts, and rollback plan, so you never synchronize more than intended. Our filtering is especially useful during the first hybrid identity rollout. Begin with a small pilot OU containing known test users and groups, and synchronize only that scope. After each phase, verify the basics: UPN format, required attributes, group behavior, and licensing readiness. Expand to additional OUOs only after those checks pass. The mistake to avoid is moving production users into scope before the identity data and cloud plans are ready. Finally, document every OU decision so operations teams know what is synchronized, what is excluded, and why. Attribute flow turns raw AD values into usable Entra ID identity data. Inbound synchronization rules import attributes such as display name, UPN, email, proxy addresses, department, title, and group membership, then normalize or transform them. Outbound rules decide which final values are exported to Entra ID. This quality matters because these attributes affect sign-in, address lists, app assignments, and everyday user experience. If you create custom rules, treat them like code. Test carefully, document the reason, and avoid changes that make identity behavior unpredictable. Every synchronized identity needs a permanent link between the on-premises AD object and its Entra ID object. That link is the source anchor, exposed in the cloud as the immutable ID. In modern Entra Connect deployments, MSDS consistency guide is commonly used because it stays stable even when names, UPNs, or domains change. Matching happens in two ways. Hard match uses the immutable ID. Soft match uses attributes like UPN, mail, or proxy addresses. If those signals are wrong, sync may create duplicates, break sign-in, or connect the wrong mailbox and licenses. After enabling password hash sync, validate it with pilot users instead of assuming it works. Confirm the sync feature is enabled and the scheduler is healthy. Then allow or trigger a Delta sync, and test sign-in to the Microsoft 365 portal and desktop apps using a changed password. If seamless SSO is enabled, confirm the AD computer account exists and that domain-joined users reach cloud services with fewer prompts. Finally, review Entra sign-in logs and conditional access results. If something fails, start with connector errors, password sync events, and user attributes. Entra Connect Sync is the bridge from ADDS to Microsoft Entra ID, but success depends on disciplined choices. Use custom setup to control scope, anchors, filtering, and matching. Clean attributes before syncing. Validate results with pilot users, and choose sign-in options like password hash sync and seamless SSO intentionally. Next, we'll compare cloud sync and apply these decisions to migration patterns.